The Golden State Warriors started the season strong with a 6-2 record. Then, right after that, they lost 6 straight games, which includes a pair of games against the T-Wolves and OKC. At that point, everyone was like, no need to worry, it's still early in the season. The Warriors are just fine. Then, a couple of weeks later, the Warriors strung a bunch of L's yet again. This time, it was against Thunder, Suns, and the Clippers to push their record 4 games below 500. But once again, people were like, no need to worry, the Warriors are fine. Fast forward to December 26th, the Dubs once again dropped 3 games in a row. Then, 4 games later, they got blown out by Toronto, 133-118, which was followed by a 36-point beatdown at the hands of the Pelicans. And then right after that, they dropped 4 games in their next 6. Draymond was sent to the principal's office, on top of the fact that Klay and Wiggs were playing like hot garbage all season long. Around this point, the media, basketball analysts, and casual fans had enough and were like,
It don't matter if Draymond is coming back. It don't matter if they decide to bring Bob Myers back. Jesus Christ cannot save what's going on with the Golden State Warriors.
Don't kick dirt on
The Dubs are not the Dubs of old. They are not. They're a flawed team. They are a borderline playoff team at present.
The borderline play-in team.
Play-in team, right.
After Steph dropped 60 points in a loss against the Hawks, everyone was like, okay, screw it. Warriors are done. The dynasty has ended. But just as people began to count out the former champs,
the third. Stops and you're scoring so well on your side. That's how you're getting a tiny bit of separation. Oh, got Kessler on him. Play 3. Oh, man. With 22 points last game against the Warriors. Made his first 5 shots.
look, if we just take a step back and analyze what has been happening with the Dubs lately, you'll most likely tell yourself, I think I've seen this movie before. I mean, time and time and time again, whenever the critics and naysayers yap their mouths, telling that the Warriors are finished, Steph and his boys would always punch back and hit hard to prove them wrong for the nth time. See, around the time when the Warriors are done narrative was pushed and peddled in the social media space, the Dubs strung 5 wins in a row, and in their last 10 games, the Dubs actually won 8 of them to send a major statement to everyone who's counting them out. And speaking of those people, whenever they talked about how the dynasty would end, they would always put Klay Thompson at the top of the list of people to blame. I mean, sure, there's no denying that the man is having his worst season wearing the Warriors jersey. But see, just like the Warriors are done narrative, Klay out of nowhere delivered a vintage Klay masterclass when he began hearing the Klay Thompson is washed narrative. I mean, when Steve Kerr didn't start him in their recent game against the Jazz, Klay took it personally and dropped 35 points to let his frustrations be known. Like, to me, this was no accident. This was intentional. I think Klay just had enough of the things he'd been hearing lately, which is why he did what he did to shut them up. Now, aside from Klay, the Dubs haters are also zeroing in on Draymond Green as one of the persons of interest that has got to do why the dynasty will crumble. We all know that Draymond has hurt a lot of players on the court with his UFC antics, which he subsequently paid for by accepting a 12-game suspension coming from the league office. But despite the fact that Draymond has not gotten himself into trouble as far as recent games are concerned, some people, especially people that hate the Dubs to their core, can't move on from this, telling that Draymond should have been suspended for the entire season. He's bad for the image of the NBA, yada yada yada. But see, here's what casual fans and talking heads aren't telling you about Draymond. With 29 games in this season, Draymond is shooting the lights out from range, averaging 42.1% in terms of three-point percentage, which is also his career high. I mean, even though a lot of people have been mocking his backpack shooting form in the past, they couldn't laugh now because he's actually shooting the rock as efficiently as Steph from a distance. Like, Here's Draymond receiving a behind back pass from Steph. Now, as expected, Kessler gave him a lot of space since they thought the dude couldn't shoot. Draymond then made him pay because he was flat out disrespecting him. Same thing happened here. Seeing Dre being wide open at the top, Collins didn't even bother to close out, and so Draymond drilled this one yet again with confidence. But here's where things get a little bit freaky for Dre and his three-point magic. Pods kicks it out to Draymond here, and as soon as he's about to jack up the shot, look at Steph turning around as if he knows it's gonna go in. And guess what? It did. Now, since we brought up Steph into the whole conversation, people have been already counting out the dubs, despite the fact that the chef is cooking like an MVP this season. And the last time I checked, it's not wise to bet against Steph when he's in this kind of mode, cause he'll surely let his feelings known. I mean, allow me to demonstrate what I just talked about. The Warriors faced the Pacers in one of the games during their winning streak. Tyrese Halliburton and his crew are unleashing a historic offensive wave that has never been seen before. Simply put, their matchup against the Pacers was a testing ground to see how they face versus legit teams in the league. But see, even without much backup, Steph took over and shocked the Pacers when he put on a three-point spectacle that no one would ever forget.
So well on your side. That's how you're getting a tiny bit of separation. Oh, my.
No matter where he goes. Steph, another three. More importantly, come home 4-1 on this trip. Steph with 3 numbers.
In that game, Steph sank 11 triples to end the game with a season-high 42 points. Now, those were not the only things that happened amidst their 5-game winning streak, because here's JJ Redick laying down the facts as to what really transpired during that stretch.
That lineup, that new starting lineup with Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Kuminga, Green, they've got a defensive rating. It's the second most used lineup for the Golden State Warriors. They've got a defensive rating of 95.8. Would be far and away the best defense in the NBA, right? So that, to me, is the key for them. Can they defend at an elite level? And over the last 5 games, they have done that.
Redick said, the Dubs picking up the intensity on the defensive end is one of the main reasons why they're rolling right now. And if they keep this kind of momentum, there's no doubt that the Dubs are going to be brewing some serious trouble come playoff time. Anyway, aside from Clay and Dre's mid-season resurgence, plus the fact that Steph is carrying the Dubs and playing like an MVP this season, the other reason why they're surging right now has something to do with the stellar play of their young guns, particularly Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. Kuminga has been truly unleashed in year 3 and is now playing the best basketball of his career, averaging career highs in almost every stat category across the board. Meanwhile, despite being a rookie, Brandon Podziemski is playing like a grizzled vet with the way he's stuffing the stat sheet, hustling on both ends, and making crucial plays as well as hitting timely baskets down the stretch. The Warriors are clicking on all cylinders right now and are actually looking legit scary with their revamped lineup featuring a mixture of old and young guys. Now, the big question right now is how far the Dubs can go with the current pieces they have, and more importantly, do they have a realistic shot at the championship this season? Well, I gotta be honest, these are tough questions to answer. But if I'm gonna use their championship blueprint back in 2021, then my answer would be the Dubs are gonna make a deep run in the playoffs and eventually win the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June. I mean, around the same time 2 seasons ago, the Warriors dropped 16 games in back-to-back months, leading to the playoffs, thanks to a slew of injuries. The Dubs eventually finished 3rd in the West, and during that time, nobody believed that they could go all the way. But as we all know, the Dubs ran through the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and the Mavs in the playoffs, before defeating the Celtics in 6 games in the finals to grab their 4th championship in 8 years. Now, going back to their current situation, it's gonna be an uphill climb for the Dubs, but with just 5 games back from the 6th seed, they really have a good chance in inserting themselves back into the playoff picture. And they could just take 1 game at a time from then on out, using their experience as their biggest advantage. Well, how about you guys? What's your take on this? Do you think that the Warriors still have gas left in their tank to make a final playoff push after the All-Star break? Let me know your answers on this one by dropping your comments below. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Anyways, thanks for watching and